I'm Chimo Mangazi with Business Time on Times Television, courtesy of Buy Malawi Strategy. It is a magazine program where we bring you business and economic news stories making headlines. In the program today, we continue to look back at some of the major stories that made headlines in the year 2019. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. Malawi is one of the members of the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa COMESA regional bloc. Mid last year, the bloc embarked on an initiative to establish a digital free trade area, DFTA, expected to create a $17.2 billion worth market for its member states. The COMESA DFTA would consist number of digital instruments to support trade, including an electronic certificate of origin underpinned by blockchain technology and a mobile application for cross-border traders. We heard the whole story in this report. The COMESA DFTA will consist of a number of digital instruments to support trade in COMESA, including an electronic certificate of origin underpinned by blockchain technology and a mobile application for cross-border traders. COMESA announced in November 2017 that its secretariat had completed the design of the digital free trade area and that the COMESA electronic certificate of origin was now ready for piloting. COMESA's Director of Trade and Customs, Francis Mangeni, said the initiative would take off as soon as possible and expects that at the end of the meeting, an electronic certificate of origin for the bloc will be commissioned.
This is a top priority for the organization. It is estimated that when we digitize trade facilitation instruments, we shall get $17.2 billion in new trade. Trade is going to increase annually by $17.2 billion. For this reason, this is a very important program which we need to implement and which has to take off as soon as possible. So the reason we're here in Lilongwe today as COMESA, 21 member states covering 40% of Africa, is to kickstart this program. What we expect is that after 3 days, we're here for 3 days, we shall be able to start using the COMESA electronic certificate of origin, and that will do away with the paper system which we have, which is cumbersome, that people have to sign on a piece of paper which we circulate to all the 21 countries using courier, which sometimes takes up to a month or even 3 months before reaching the border posts. And in the meantime, trade can be stopped or delayed. So this is very, very important for us, and this is what we're here to do. Actually, the more important question is whether the different systems that customs authorities use in the member states can be interfaced, whether they can talk to each other. For instance, in Kenya, they may have a system which they call Simba. Actually, that's what they have. In Tanzania, they may have a system which they call Tanzas. So you don't worry about that. What we have already done is to make sure that these different systems can interface, can talk to each other. So it shouldn't matter which system exactly you are using. What matters is that your system can generate the trade facilitation instruments, such as the electronic certificate of origin. That is what's important. And we have made sure that what we put in place, whatever the systems that member states use, can be generated. The instruments that we put in place can be generated by any member state using their systems. Technology can talk to each other. It can be interfaced. It's a matter of giving it to the software and the IT people, the engineers. They know how to do it. And this is what we have been doing. Now, you're talking about this general question of the IT infrastructure in our member states. It's the duty of every government working closely with the private sector to be up to speed with the technological developments in the world. we are all aware of the mobile revolution in the whole world. So if any government ignored this development, it will not be doing what it is supposed to do. And I believe every government in Africa, in COMESA here, is doing everything they can to make sure that everything is in place to assist people, the ordinary people, have access to this latest technology.
Director of Administration and Finance in the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Tourism, Joseph Nkandawire, said the initiative will enhance regional integration and reduce the cost of doing business, improve efficiency and effectiveness among traders.
What we should know is that COMESA is there for regional integration. And regional integration, we want to ensure that we have seamless trading issues so that we reduce the cost of doing business. We improve efficiency and effectiveness. So in digital area, we're talking about having innovation so that we can be able to trade using such platforms. For example, we have the trade portal where a trader can easily access information at the click of a button. So we want to make sure that in the region we speak the same language, where we can use a platform and use it for trade. I'll give you an example on the same portal that if you go on the Malawi portal, you get all information on the issues of land, legislation, how you can do business, taxation issues. So you don't have to go from one office to the other to gather information. So this is one way we want to ensure that we integrate COMESA countries into a trading bloc.
He added that on the rules of origin, it is a process and they are trading carefully to agree to something that will benefit local traders and the nation at large. From Lilongwe, I am Chimwe Mangazi. During the same period, the World Bank gave Malawi a $40 million package to help the country in disaster risk management in the aftermath of Cyclone Idai. The package was part of the $70 million financing agreement that Capitol Hill signed with the Bretton Woods institution on June 21 last year. The whole issue was explained in this report.
World Bank country manager Greg Tumin was however non-committal on the uncommitted $60 million that the country has been looking for from the World Bank over the past 2 years.
The way we work is that the money that's available for countries that benefit from IDA, like Malawi, is allocated on a 3-year basis. So for the 3 years from July 2017 to June 2020, Malawi has been allocated a number around $750 million. So the key for people to focus on is, will Malawi get that $750 million? I'm confident they will, and in addition, Malawi will be getting this additional $120 million, which was allocated in response to Cyclone Idai. So Malawi should be getting at least $870 million over the 3 years from July 17 to June 2020 in a variety of forms. Some of it, as I say, is in projects, some of it may be in budget support, some of it may be focused on supporting results. But overall, we're confident of delivering in one form or another all the resources which Malawi is entitled to under IDA.
Minister of Finance Joseph Mwanamveka hailed World Bank for the support.
This money is already with us, and this money is purely to help us to be able to manage the risks that are associated with disasters. The resources that I was also received are also going to help us to mitigate future disasters. So they are there for us to mitigate disasters. We are aware that in the recent past, Malawi has experienced a number of disasters, heavy rains, flooding, as well as the cyclone. So the money that we have received, they are going to help us to mitigate those risks. But in addition, over and above that, because this money has also come through the budget, it means now even the Reserve Bank is able to go to beef up these reserves in terms of foreign currency. It means also it is going to help us to manage macroeconomic fundamentals.
On his behalf, Information Minister Mark Botomani said the commitment is a demonstration of confidence that the development partners have in the Malawi government.
What this all means is that the donors or cooperating partners now have confidence in the government of Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika. Because what has happened today, the channeling of this huge amount of money to the tune of $40 million, and you've also heard that 30 million more will be coming, is a strong indication that these institutions, these cooperating partners, have confidence in the administration.
Cyclone Idai hit Malawi in March this year and left at least 60 people dead.
Malawi is currently negotiating a second Millennium Challenge Corporation MCC compact. Among the processes conducted were a stakeholder consultation to identify areas of focus in the new compact. During one such meeting, macroeconomic volatility and rural transport came out tops among the three major constraints that were identified. This report explored what transpired in the meeting. National Coordinator for the Millennium Challenge account, Dai Mawindo, said they have had meetings with three delegations from MCC Washington office looking at new areas to focus on in the new investment, which, out of many, land access, macroeconomic volatility and rural transport were picked. Mawindo said there are a number of processes that have to be undertaken before the compact is complemented, and it will only be known as to how much will be given in the new compact only after these processes are completed.
I would suggest that we step back a little bit and provide a context so the Malawians are aware that Malawi became eligible for a second compact in last December. The Millennium Challenge Corporation Board of Directors chose Malawi out of many qualifying countries, but Malawi's performance indicators were way much better than other countries. So Malawi has been chosen to develop a second compact, and we have had three delegations coming in from MCC in Washington, speaking to the Malawian counterparts here in Malawi, basically looking at which new areas should benefit from the new investment from the US. And so we had the first team come in. They consulted with over 100 key stakeholders in this country, and lots of areas were mentioned as being binding constraints. As you can understand, MCC cannot invest in all those areas. We had more than 20 areas being suggested, and all of them were very interesting. All of them had logical reasons why they had been identified, but MCC has to invest only on those that are selected on account of them being binding constraints.
One of the stakeholders during the meeting, economist Joyce Malongo, said out of the three, she considers macroeconomic volatility and rural transport to be the major constraints facing the Malawi economy.
I consider the first two to be main risks, the macroeconomic stability as well as rural transport. Those ones, I think, they're indeed main linked. Of course, the land issue can also be considered a constraint, but I think if we address the macroeconomic stability and the rural transport, we are good to go. We have problems in terms of rural accessibility. That one is indeed a big issue because the conditions on the rural roads, rural transport is mostly poor. The large proportion of the rural roads are poor, whether paved or unpaved, but the condition is very poor. So it has an impact on the access of agricultural commodities, which is the backbone of our economy, to the markets. Apart from that, also has an impact on the access of rural communities, which make 80% of our population to access social amenities, be it health, education. So once we have that, It's linked to poverty reduction, which is the main goal of the Millennium Challenge Compact. On the macroeconomic stability, yes, we have. Inflation is now not good. It's high, it's not stable, and that one is it's the most biting thing to the majority of Malawians. So the macroeconomic stability has to be addressed. Otherwise, without it, all our efforts will be in vain. So the situation is not. We need to address the policies. The policy. We look at the policies. Can these policies on the roads, as well as the macroeconomics, our policies on the macroeconomic situation, can they lead to accelerating growth? So we need to look at that. The laws as well. Governing our economy, macroeconomic stability, as well as the transport modes, and also the deliberate moves. That goes back to the policy. So we need to do that. Apart from that, then we come to infrastructure investments, especially on the roads, on the rural transport. Then it goes to infrastructure investment. And apart from that, we have to look at the sustainability of the same, because this compact, as we have been told, it's run for 5 years, but beyond 5 years, it doesn't have to be a white elephant, but there has to be sustainability. So we have to look at the ownership as well as sustainability. I think with that, then we can benefit more from this compact if it comes.
In December 2018, the MCC board approved to provide Malawi with a 5-year grant program for putting up a strong performance on its scorecard, which focuses on good governance and curbing corruption, among others. From Blantyre, I am Chimwemwe Mangazi. Remember, this is Business Time on Times Television with me, Chimwemwe Mangazi. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories, courtesy of the Buy Malawi. Mining is one of the industries identified by the government as having the potential to transform Malawi's economy. Canadian dual-listed mining firm Mkango Resources Limited mid-last year started sending a consignment of 60 tons of rare earth samples for testing in Australia as part of the exploration process to complete its feasibility study. The firm is exploring the mineral at Songwe Hill in Palombe district. The story was explored in this report.
The test is an essential component of the exploration process in order to complete the bankable feasibility study, including the design of a processing plant for the Songwe Hill project. Mkango Resources Country Director Beton Kajinjika said the company was delighted to see the project progressing.
I'm extremely happy that at least we are now progressing forward to making sure that our project can go to fruition. When the samples are taken to Australia, they'll be put in a processing plant so that we can estimate recovery factors and whether the mineral can be extracted very well. And it's to make sure that before we can spend money on putting up a factory, we should be 100% sure that we will get the mineral out of the rocks.
Palombe District Commissioner Memory Kaleso, newly elected Member of Parliament for Palombe North East constituency, Dennis Namachekecha, Director of Geological Survey, Chief Mining Engineer for the Mines Department in Blantyre, as well as civil society organizations representatives, witnessed the loading process. Kaleso says the district expects to reap the most from the project. She says Mkango had been transparent in the process.
So far, so good, because I think they've been transparent enough. We've worked with them from the beginning to this level. They have had a number of consultation meetings. We had a full council meeting, we had a tech meeting, so we are aware of what is happening here. And I think even for today, we were told in advance that there's this important function. That's why we are here to witness. Of course, in Palombe, we are like now the eyes of even the central government, because we're here to represent the government. We haven't had any of such instances because they've been so transparent even to the communities. And I think they have also taken an initiative to support the communities in one way or the other, like drilling some boreholes, maybe taking the communities, come see what we are doing. So we've been moving together from the beginning to date. Yeah, from this initiative, we are expecting success, so that they go back with the back sample and come up with the higher levels of what they are looking for. Because with that, that's when we can start talking about development, so that for the people of Palombe, they should also benefit from this development, as the nation at large will also be benefiting, as they'll be making, or they will be paying the taxes and whatever they're supposed to pay.
Exploration works at Songwe Hill began in 2010, and the results of the back sample test will help complete the bankable feasibility study, which in turn will determine the future of the project. Acting Director of Geological Survey in the Ministry of Natural Resources, Energy and Mining, Kondwan Dombola, says the testing was critical in the exploration process.
This process is very important in the mining industry because it represents probably, would say, the last stages of exploration. What it means is once this type of a sample has been taken, it's where now the companies would like to know how to get, in this case, rare earth oxide from the rock of this area. So it's a process where they would like to get out the rare earth oxide from the rock of this area. And then, because it's a process, it's sometimes becomes very complicated, but in this case, they would like to understand it, how to get that type of minerals out from that rock.
Over $30 million has been invested in the project since 2010.
Well, with that story, we have also come to the end of today's edition of Business Time here on Times Television. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Chimo Mangazi. But always remember, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Bye for now.